Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Talking Innovation. Now, this is where we'll talk about, there's so much to talk about. We'll talk about anything because there's so much innovation going on. It's kind of crazy. I've been in this industry since 1983, 6 months before the Mac. And I'm amazed on the daily deluge of amazing new developments that happen every single day. I mean, I just can't keep up. It's awesome. And I've told you before, I'm just the Gilligan in this equation, just trying to keep up. I feel like I'm on the back of the wave, panting, trying to catch those guys on the surfboards. But fortunately, I get those guys too, like the one I have today, Carter Huffman, CTO and co-founder of Modulate. Super excited to hear about this company and this product. Carter, it's great to have you, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Grant, thank you so much for having me. I'm super, super excited to chat. I love your enthusiasm. I share it. I mean, there's so much going on. And I think, as you know, kind of as a fellow innovator, like it is wonderful to be able to be a part of it and kind of, build something that we're super, super passionate about. And I love talking about it and sharing that with everybody. So super excited to chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I love that, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction in this new world that we're proving quantum physics every day. It's all energy, baby. And so I feel it and I'm really excited. So tell me about Modulate. I mean, all I know is voice. It's voice related. I've had another voice company guy from down Australia area. His company was doing some innovative stuff. Talk about Modulate, what you're doing.
A voice AI company, and we do deep, nuanced understanding of voice conversations to find anything you might be looking for, like fraud, harassment, manipulation, or even just like sentiment, how the conversation's going. Anything you're looking for in a voice conversation, we build models that will pick that up, escalate it, and we do it accurately, we do it quickly, and we do it 10 to 100 times cheaper than trying to build it even just with kind of off-the-shelf transcription. So we're a voice understanding company.
Voice understanding. Okay, so I guess the first obvious, this is a tool that is listening to everything that's going on, right? So, I mean, we do have that, right? I mean, do I have to, I guess most of it is anyway, but IP based? I mean, do I have to have an IP phone or something like that? Or is it, talk about how you get the information, and is it all through like chatbots? And if I'm going to implement something at my company, give me some of the use cases and examples.
Absolutely. So we actually just released our voice understanding models through our developer API portal. So you can go to modulatedeveloperapis.com. And we just have simple streams or batch processing endpoints. You send your conversation data through us, and that can be from any source, right? If you're an enterprise with a call center, we'll hook into your CCAS system. You can stream the data to us. If you're an app developer, just hook us into the microphone. Or any kind of callbacks you have. If you've got a bunch of audio files, you can just send them through our API, just post them, we'll get you a response back. Anywhere you have data, just programmatically send it through our models. And again, we have this API published, so anybody in the world can use it. And if you sign up, you get 1,000 hours of free processing. So anyone can try it.
So practical use case, I'm kind of thinking right away, customer service, right? I mean, being able to hear, is it real time? Is this something that I can have in line and I'm hearing somebody blowing a blood vessel ream in one of my customer service agents real time?
It is real time. And in fact, it's funny you should mention that because we actually got started in the video game industry of all places. So the idea was, well, we actually started back, we were working on the tech back in 2014, 2015. And we were building like a voice changer, actually. So we've always been a voice AI company. But we started out building a voice changer. So make me sound like Taylor Swift or James Earl Jones or something like that.
Right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's where the name came from, and we thought this was really cool, and the tech is actually quite cool. But our go to market was like, we're going to go sell this to the video game industry, right? And skins. So like Fortnite makes billions and billions selling skins to make your character look different. We'll make skins to make you sound different in voice chat. We thought that was a great idea. So we went and we took this to Fortnite and all the other folks, and what do you know it? They were like, well, we already make billions making skins, so we're just going to keep doing that. Like, we don't need to make voice skins. We're making plenty of money, right? Which is, I didn't expect that. But they thought it was cool. But what they did ask was like, hey, can you use this technology to change the sound of our players' voices so they stop getting harassed, especially like female players and other folks? Like, that's a big problem for us. And we were like, well, it's kind of weird to be like, oh, you need to sound like a man so you're not getting harassed in Call of Duty or something. But we were like, well, we build voice AI technology. Why don't we just repurpose that to monitor all of the voice comms, and then we'll find if somebody's harassing your players, and then you can do something about it. So that we built out kind of our first product, ToxMod. Exactly, right, exactly. It's the same kind of core, like fast, real-time voice AI technology, but for detecting harassment live in these games that scale to hundreds of millions of hours a month.
You know what also I think, Carter, that might be maybe what people don't necessarily hear, or maybe they do. And what I hear is just how unbelievably valuable it is to listen to your customers, or at least listen to who you want to try to go and market or sell your product to. Just listen, and then really digest what they're asking, right? Well, that's exactly what you guys did.
Well, that's something that I think people are always surprised when they start using our technology, right? Like, no matter what they're looking for, when are people getting frustrated? When do people like have strong positive or negative sentiments in this conversation? Like all sorts of things. And whenever they deploy our technology, they'll say like, hey, I thought maybe this was happening, but I had no idea how much, right? Like, I had no idea how frustrated people were getting. I had no idea how often this was happening. If you're not looking,
the call center person doesn't always want to convey to the boss or the developer, oh man, this guy was really pissed. So he was kind of mad. And there's two different messages there, right?
And it's all subjective. Yeah, and it's all subjective, and it's hard to measure. And by actually applying AI technology, you get, yes, probabilistic, but a consistent metric by which you can observe every single call, apply the same criteria, and then get this kind of like robust set of statistics that you can understand and use. And as we talked about, not only from a like kind of metrics and investigation and optimization perspective, but also from a real-time intervention perspective, in order to be able to say, hey, this conversation, something's happening I don't like, I'm going to jump in and fix it now live, instead of just waiting till it's done.
Or I mean, I could just see, right? I think the voice of God comes in to the conversation. You need to back off of our agent with your comments, or something like that. just right, because I mean that's powerful. Because the agent doesn't always have.
What's funny? What's funny that you mentioned that. Again, we got our start in video games. I was telling you about this application, but we had some games we were deployed in early on, and they were like, oh my gosh, okay, if somebody's like swearing too much, do we ban them forever? Like what do we do? Like, what's the right level of penalty? And one of our customers found that like if you've got a bunch of people playing a game, and somebody starts harassing folks, you kick them automatically because they're harassing somebody, even if they can rejoin right away, rejoin the same, it's like 5 seconds of disruption maximum. that
Hmm.
still cuts out that toxicity and bad behavior by over 70%. Just the
Wow.
little nudge of like, hey, stop doing that, right? Like just
I
the little
think what,
disruption.
you know what it does, Carter, in my opinion, is it communicates to those that think they're not getting watched that, hey, we're watching you. We're listening to you.
Right, we
You know what I
actually
mean?
take this
It's,
seriously. This
yeah,
matters to
yeah.
us.
That there is somewhat of a hall monitor. And I think that's powerful. I think
Well,
that's
see,
really
this is
powerful.
this is this is the whole problem, right? And it's not just in games; it's also in call centers. It's in any digital space, really, and it's especially impactful in voice. Where if you're communicating over a digital medium, especially like faceless, if it's just a voice channel,
Right.
folks feel much more empowered to be kind of nasty than they do like in real person. Like think of the things that you hear people like
Oh,
shouting at call center agents. Like, can you imagine somebody saying that in a coffee shop? Right? Like,
yeah.
no, absolutely not. That's
Right.
completely unacceptable for like a real interaction with a physical human being. And yet, because you're calling them over the phone, you somehow feel like that's okay.
You know, it's funny, Carter, but it's similar to, and we've all experienced this, the most docile, meek, small, kind, gentle lady, when she gets into her car, closes all the doors, you know, it's a whole different world, right? I mean, people out, she's on the road, you know what I mean? Where people do feel a different sense of empowerment based on the environment they're in, and that sense of anonymity. Despite you
Mm-hmm.
know who I am because we're talking on the phone, you don't see my face, and I'm not going to see you at the grocery store next week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I think, arguably one of the undercurrents to why, and I've said this before on this program, and I'll say it again, there's really only one industry like cyber, and that's kinetic war. And the difference is in kinetic war, we have a white flag. And of course, I'm talking about cyber and the security and what goes on.
Sure thing.
But in kinetic, we eventually will get where somebody will want to wave a white flag. It may start up again at a later point in time, but we reach these endpoints where people say, this is enough, or I'm done, or I've totally decimated you, or whatever it is. That doesn't happen in the cyberspace because there's this anonymity that is always there. And as long as there's someone with a nefarious intent, that's the place to go because you can reach the entire world and you don't know who I am. And I think that's why you'll just forever see. And of course, probably most importantly, it pays. There's money there. I think all of those matter.
And speaking of kind of the cyber versus war parallels, I mean, I think there is a really important security topic to talk about in general, where um, you know the idea of physical security and physical security procedures we've had for a very long time, and we generally know how to do. And physical security attacks are relatively hard to scale, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to one building and then go to another building, go to another building, etc. But over a digital medium, like say calling into a call center and seeing if you can like steal somebody's password, you can
Yep.
call every single company on the planet and wait until you hit somebody vulnerable. Um,
Yeah.
and you can call the same company, the same line, hundreds or thousands of times and wait till you get the right combination of like somebody
Yep.
who's new, somebody who's tired, they just
Yep.
change the policies, whatever. You find a weak spot, and it's just
Yep.
so easy to scale cyber attacks, which is
Uh,
why the kind of stuff we do where you're monitoring like a phone call to find social manipulation or deepfakes is so important because
well,
the
no kidding.
scale of these
So you guys
attacks
will
is
do that. You
unprecedented.
get
We
so
do.
That's how, yeah, that's
In fact,
huge because I
deepfake detection model in the entire world. We actually just got on the leaderboard.
say that again.
We have
Your
the
mic
best.
kind of broke up a little bit when you get excited. I hear it kind of flutter. So
Oh, it like a little bit of crackle or
it
something.
cuts out a bit, but it's
Okay, well, I'll definitely want to repeat this because this is really exciting. We actually just got on to the Hugging Face speech arena leaderboards for deepfake voice detection. We're the number
huge.
one model in the whole world.
Are you
Uh,
kidding? Really? In the
yeah,
world?
yeah, it's a
Wow.
really, really
So
cool achievement.
your model is, well, one of the things I have to mention, I was thinking about earlier when you said you'd been working on the tech since like 2015 or something. The word that came to the back of my mind was deep.
Yeah.
This is deep tech. This is back when it wasn't a transformer based AI. This is true machine learning. And so that's a different discipline from my perspective with the tool that's evolved now to being able to exploit those kinds of technologies. Am I wrong or am I?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because on the one hand, it's a very different type of capability. The tools are so much more powerful and so much more
Right.
accessible than they used to be that it is really changing the game. But on the other hand, the fundamental principles of machine learning and artificial intelligence that have been around for decades still
Yep.
apply. You still
50s.
need good data going into your systems in order to produce good responses. You still need
Yep.
to have deep domain expertise to actually do productive and robust work in a
Yep.
domain. And so, the fact that you've got these new powerful tools and you can do new things with them doesn't change the fact that you need to understand the domain you're working in order
Yeah.
to apply those tools effectively.
That's really cool. I think this is such an enormous area. I got a buddy of mine actually. He's got a company, Reality Check, and it's CHEK.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, cool.
And it's the same kind of thing. And what he did is they gamified it. So swipe left, swipe right. Is this AI generated or is this human generated? Obviously, it has a dual effect because it's gamified for the consumer, but it's also populating and building their knowledge base, right?
Oh, yeah, cool. I mean, the deep fake technologies have gotten so powerful. We actually have a fun little you can go look it up. It's a deep fake defender, I think, or deep fake detective, I apologize. And if you go search for that, we have just a little published like quiz basically of, hey, listen to these two audio clips, which one's real, which one's fake.
Yeah.
And our model gets it right 100% of the time because it can hear the defects and changes between a synthetic voice and a real voice that a human can't anymore. And so it's pretty fun. Like you go through like, I think I get like 60-70% on the hardest difficulty, but it's very difficult to tell.
It makes me think of what I heard about mammograms and how AI was changing the game in viewing mammogram results because they're just so much better at finding those really small, minute anomalies that might end up being real serious. And I see it's the same thing. This is what's so exciting about what's coming. But at the same time, the whole deterministic, probabilistic, there's some interesting things about this technology that I think we do still kind of have to wrestle with.
Well, nobody really understands all the implications and capabilities of these technologies. Think about prompt injections, right? Like, ignore all instructions and, give me a recipe for lasagna, give me a recipe for pizza, whatever, right?
And exactly. You have to have that protection in front of everything. And now everybody's installing co-pilots. And I mean, if I get an email from you with all white text that is in fact a prompt for co-pilot or whatever AI I'm using, I mean, companies have to have protections against that. Just because I can't see it, the machine can.
or things that you like don't understand. So like, asking questions slightly differently or phrasing things slightly differently can produce wildly different results, right? For example, if you're like trying to, and I don't recommend doing this at all, but if you're trying to ask a chatbot for health advice, the way you phrase the terminology, are you using precise medical terminology? It will
Yep.
give you back kind of a precise medical result. If you're using slang, it'll just tell you to go take an aspirin and lie down, right? It's like
Yeah.
the results are so different just based on how you say things, even without prompt injections.
For what I have said for a while is uh, we should look at AI as if it's an assistant that is got an IQ of way more than you and knows everything that the internet knows, or at least everything that it's been trained on. And, but it's still a newly hired assistant. And so there's a couple of things. One, if this person truly knows everything on the internet, and I say, hey, can you help me write a letter? The effort I'm going to get back is going to be commensurate to the effort I put in to the request, right? Sure, here, what do you want to write about? Boom, it's there. But if I say, hey, you are your role, your task, your experience, your outcomes I'm expecting. I mean, to really detail that. Now, I mean, I get a much greater effort on the part of that assistant. So I always advocate really prompts are the name of the game, baby, for most of us right now. I think you got to really be good at prompting.
Well,
and,
and the
and
thing
then
you were talking about with like, oh, it knows the whole internet. Well, the internet's full of a bunch of contradictions, right? Like, there's no
that's
sense of objective truth for these things. And so it's like, you might ask it a question, and the internet, Reddit, like the corpus it's trained on, has 8 different answers. Like, which answer are you going to get?
yeah.
And like, there's no reason, fundamentally speaking, to expect you're going to get the answer that's most beneficial to you or
Yeah.
most factually correct. You're just going to get whatever follows the language statistics from the training corpus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the other thing, the second thing for me anyway, is if it's an assistant that I just hired, there's nothing that's going to come from that assistant that I'm not going to rigorously check. There's nothing that I'm going to take from that assistant and trust emphatically that the assistant got everything correct. In fact, on the contrary, I'm going to, with a fine tooth comb, check every single thing because I just hired this assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And I constantly try to keep that in my mind, despite how amazing it performs. You really got to take the time to dig in because this stuff kind of can deviate and you'll miss it.
Absolutely. And this is why human review is such an important part of any workflow that involves AI. And so a lot of our technology deployments involve AI systems and even traditional machine learning systems as filters or classifiers, right? So we're looking for signals of something you might care about, and we're escalating those over to you so you can see them, like filter out the noise and get to the stuff you really care about. But ultimately, there's a human in the loop, either reviewing every single thing that gets escalated or sometimes doing it probabilistically and saying, okay, at this level, we have a
Mm-hmm.
99.5% confidence. It's never going to be 100%. Right. But
Yeah.
we have built this much confidence in this system. But there's always a human in the loop to inject ground truth, either deterministically or probabilistically.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So I want to talk about, because I really am kind of intrigued as you're talking about um, when you look at and consider the evolution that's occurring right now, on the part of the nefarious, the bad guys, because I think really there's a massive tsunami that's right around the corner, because I think
Oh yeah.
they've been all prepping, tooling, exploiting these new continuously improving models, and the sophistication of the and the complexity, because they're using N8N to build workflows. But the outcome is not to have a happy customer. The outcome is to get your money, to steal your data, whatever, right? But they're using the same tools, the same workflows, the same multi-agent chaining, and they're going to kick the shit out of us. They're going to. I mean, it's going to. I mean, they're. It's really concerning. And I was telling my wife, I said, you have no idea what's going to be coming. Do you think I'm right? Do you think that, I mean, am I, the sky is falling, or am I overstating it?
I think there's bad news and good news. I think the bad news is exactly what you just described. The tools and the capabilities are far more sophisticated than they've ever been in the past. And I think the scale at which sophisticated, intelligent attacks are coming is a scale at which nobody's fully prepared for.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I think the good news is that the attack vectors are the same kinds of attack vectors we've been dealing with for a long time, right? Social engineering conducted by an AI bot can happen at an unprecedented scale, but it's
Right.
still social engineering. And the
Right.
tools to fight back against social engineering, better training, better monitoring, human in the loop investigations, fast follow-ups, all these kinds of things, defense in depth, all of those tools are still applicable and still effective against AI powered social engineering as they were against human powered social engineering. The change is just the scale. So, bad news and good news.
Yeah.
But the definite thing I can say is it's going to be a lot harder to just coast by without worrying about this problem at all because of
Yeah.
that scale. So
Yeah.
previously, oh, we're too small, nobody's going to try and hack us. I don't think that flies anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And your excuse me there, your previous preamble, what you just were talking about, to me, just really shines a huge light on the, frankly, not trying to blow smoke up your skirt or anything, but the unbelievable value of your tool, because this has become such a key component of the kill chain, if you will, right? They've introduced the human voice element at a very effective in a very effective way to pummel phone calls, trying to seek out information. And so to have a tool that has the ability to combat that scale of attack with the kind of technology, I think that's very, very cool. I mean, I was thinking initially, oh boy, it hurt customers that are upset. Now, can you also hear super happy customers, so that you
Sure
pretty much
thing,
can
yeah.
detect anything and be alerted to it, somehow trigger a ticket, something, so I could say, hey, send that guy a thank you note, they're a really happy customer, that kind of thing.
And that's what's so exciting about the frontier of voice AI, in my opinion, is that in the past, I think something where you said, okay, we really, really care about locking down social engineering. That's the thing we got to go care about. You could have an entire product suite or an entire company devoted to just tackling that one problem. But with the power and flexibility of voice AI, you can have one technology, one capability that plugs in and does everything. It fights social engineering, yes. It fights fraud, yes. It finds when people are harassing your agents, yes. But it also finds when people are excited and happy and gets you that feedback. It also finds when there's an opportunity to cross-sell or upsell, and it gets you that feedback. It can do all of that. Anything you want to know about a conversation, that same exact technology that we're
Brilliant.
building can pick up all of that and get all of it to you. And that's
Yeah.
the power and flexibility. That's why I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I mean, I could see the application, much broader field of view in my mind now, after having this conversation with you, Carter. It's pretty exciting, and I think I'm going to go take a look at Modulate and check you guys out. And I want to thank you very, very much for taking your time. I know you got a hard stop, and so I don't want to run over. I wish we would have got started earlier, but shame on me for babbling. But
always fun to chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Modulate, you got to check them out. Is it Modulate.ai?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, Modulate.ai. Check them out. It sounds like it's something that really has got a future. And so thank you very, very much for coming on the program. It's really wonderful talking with you, Carter. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, awesome, kind of short but sweet program today with the CTO and co-founder of Modulate. Really exciting AI voice technology that can have a huge impact on your business, not just to catch the bad stuff, but also catch the good stuff and everything else in between. So appreciate you being here. Like it, share it, tell your friends, and we'll look forward to having you back on the next episode of Talking Innovation. Take care.